All right, how's it going, everybody? We are back here with Chris Bartl from Bayside Barbell.
Doyle rules.
I don't know who that is or what that is, but apparently it rules. Chris, how's it going?
It's going great, man.
Awesome. What do we got going on today?
Today we're going to start teaching you how to do a proper kettlebell swing.
Ooh.
Let's do a disclaimer on this first. In the previous segment, we talked about hip hinging. If you have not mastered the hip hinge, please do not try this exercise. The hip hinge is super, super important to teaching you how to get your hips to move in the right directions for a kettlebell swing. Okay. One thing to remember about learning how to do a kettlebell swing, this is going to go against everything that everyone out there has heard about with weights. Just don't start too heavy, start light until you get to good form. Throw that out the window when it comes to a kettlebell swing. Always start heavier. And once we get into the swing, you'll understand why. The kettlebell swing is exactly what it is in the name. It's a swing. It is not a squat. It is not a front raise. It is not an overhead raise, which they do it wrong by going over their head. That's not a kettlebell swing. That is, unless you want to go to the hospital and get your shoulder repaired because you just dislocated it. Be safe, because this is a dynamic movement. You're throwing weight around in a very explosive manner. So unless you're really careful and you have a lot of practice with it, this can be a very dangerous movement. On the other side of the coin, this is a fantastic movement for conditioning. It's a fantastic movement for building hip strength, for building upper back strength. And if you don't think doing a kettlebell swing is cardio, pick up a 30 kilo, which is almost 70 pounds, and try and do 100 swings without stopping and tell me what your heart rate is. It will be near maxed out. A kettlebell swing is something that you can do anywhere if you have a kettlebell. If your gym doesn't have kettlebells, we can show you how to do it with a dumbbell. There's no reason why you can't do a swing in any gym if you don't have a kettlebell.
Cool.
Okay, so first thing that we're going to work on with Jesse here is the foot placement. Okay, let's go ahead and let's face the camera first. I want your feet just outside of shoulder width. Okay, go ahead and take a step forward, or you're going to smash the stuff behind you. Okay, so remember the hip hinge. Okay, and I'm going to help Jesse out here a little bit. And this is where a training partner can really benefit you when helping you learn the kettlebell swing. Okay, so I want you to grab this here as a kettlebell. We're using a 12 kilo kettlebell here for Jesse. You want to grab both hands on the top of the horn. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, go ahead and hold on to the handle, okay, and I'm going to start right here, okay. Now, the first thing I like to tell people is you want to try and aim for your crotch. It's going to hurt, so what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to get your hips out of the way. It's called a hip hinge, which we talked about, okay. So, with Jesse as a guy, we always like to go to the bathroom standing up for some strange reason. So, I'm going to aim for his crotch. Jesse, the cue for you, I want you to take down your zipper. Okay, now on the count of 3, I'm just going to drop the kettlebell. Okay, it's going to try and hit you in the crotch, take down your zipper, and once it's between your legs, I want you to squeeze your glutes and pop them forward as fast as you can. Okay, 3, 2, 1, pop. Bam, that's a great kettlebell swing. Let's do it again, but don't pause. Okay, once it gets between your legs, shoot straight forward. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Bam. Okay, good. Now, notice how what Jesse did, it kind of came up towards his face a little bit. So the next cue I'm going to tell him, be tighter in your lats. Okay, your lats should be, right here, should be totally engaged. They should be pulling down the entire time. You should never relax those. 3, 2, 1. Bam. Let's go again. 3, 2, 1. Good. And relax. Okay, go ahead and sit down. Now, Jesse did a great job. We're going to have him turn sideways so you guys can see it from the side. Okay, but what did he do? He pushed his hips back the entire time. He didn't squat down. He pushed his hips back. He made it a hip hinge. Okay, this is a dynamic hip hinge. The other thing that Jesse did really well is he didn't let his chest come down too far. There's a lot of times you'll see people, they'll do the swing and they'll come way down here. All of a sudden your hips stop working and your back becomes involved. We don't want that. Your back is going to be involved a little bit, yes. We want to make this a hip movement. So again, he brought his chest down to about 45 degrees, and that's absolutely perfect in my mind. Okay, let's turn and face this way, and let's do the same thing here, Jesse. Okay, I'm going to pick it up. Take a little step back for me. Okay, same thing. Take down your zipper, don't let it pause, shoot it straight back up. 3, 2, 1. bam. Keep going. 3, 2, 1. Good, relax. Now, I'm going to show you something here real quick. Now, why am I putting my hand here? Well, I'm actually pushing the kettlebell down. Why? Because I'm trying to think of your hamstrings like a rubber band, okay? When you do a kettlebell swing, you're letting your hamstrings stretch out like a rubber band. What happens when you let go with both fingers? It's going to snap together, right? Think of your hamstrings the same way. As you come, the more dynamic you can come down this way, the tighter your hamstrings will, the more power and pop you'll get coming this way. So what am I doing? I'm throwing the kettlebell down to force a bigger stretch in his hamstrings, to force him to pop it. Now what happens when I also start throwing it and he gets his hips more involved? The kettlebell is going to come up a lot quicker. So all of a sudden becomes a more dynamic movement, okay? The other thing that Jesse's doing that's really, really great is he's not raising the kettlebell with his shoulders. You see a lot of people do that. That's not correct. You don't want to lift the kettlebell with your shoulders. Let your hips do all the work. Your hips should be the only thing that are really, really moving. You shouldn't have the kettlebell come up high from your shoulders. One thing that you can remember about your arms that'll help you engage your lats is think of this. If you bring your arms all the way up here, you can see daylight here. That's no bueno, okay? Keep them here. Now engage your lats. Okay, look at, there's no daylight right there. That's exactly what you want. Keeping your arms tucked and locked right in next to your lats. Okay? I'm going to show you guys how to do this with a dumbbell real quick. If your gym does not have a kettlebell, go ahead and grab a dumbbell and you can do the exact same movement with the dumbbell. Now you're just going to hold it just off to the side. So you're going to grab a dumbbell. Go ahead and show him how you're holding it real quick, Jesse. See, he's just holding it by the plate of the dumbbell. Now do the exact same movement. Okay, let's start up. Okay, here, the movement, it does not change. 3, 2, here we go. It's down and it's up. It's down and it's up. Chest down a little more. Bam. Bam. 3, 2, 1. Bam. Okay? And that's how you do it with a dumbbell. So if your gym doesn't have kettlebells, so what? You can still practice with a dumbbell. You can do this movement anywhere.
And you guys, you know what Chris was saying about trying to do 100 reps and not have your heart rate be maxed out? He was just having me do 3 to 5 reps and my heart rate skyrocketed too, because the technique is so crucial. And you think about it, there's a lot of big muscles involved. Your whole body is really working, but your glutes, which are one of the biggest muscle groups of your body, your back muscles to stabilize you are another huge muscle group, your legs, these muscles are all working. So that means it's a lot of blood that's getting pumped out, which also means there's a lot of calories that are having to be used to generate that movement. So if people want to talk about losing weight, getting in shape, not having to do a tremendous amount of exercise, not having to spend hours and hours exercising, do a big movement like this, and it is completely safe and effective to do as long as you take the time to master, like Chris said, the hip hinge first, because that's all it is. It's just using your hips to push, and it's amazing how much force you generate and how much you can feel the musculature contract when you're doing it. So give yourself the gift of time. Everybody talks about not having time. Do these instead of, I don't know, what's an 8-minute buns or whatever the hell it is. And
you'll get Brazilian butt lift. Yeah,
instead of the Brazilian butt lift, and you'll get way, way more out of it by doing this. So that was awesome, Chris.
Yeah, and for one thing, for you people who maybe have done a kettlebell swing before, but you're looking for something new to try, throw a kettlebell swing at the end of a workout, whether it's an upper body or lower body movement, and have a stopwatch or a watch on your wrist. And I love using this for a finisher. Okay, you're going to do 10 swings at the start of every minute for 10 minutes. So you're going to do 100 swings in 10 minutes. If it takes you 25 seconds to do 10 swings, you only get 35 seconds to rest. If you do them in 10 seconds, you get 50 seconds to rest. Try that with a heavy kettlebell just once and email Jesse and let me know how hard it is. I guarantee you, your heart rate will be thumping, you'll be out of breath, and your hamstrings and your butt will be lit up.
Yeah, and that's a great challenge to try. One thing that's important though is you do not want to break form, right? To try to
Absolutely.
Get right. So if you hit a minute and you've only done 8, that's it. You don't want to try to rush it or anything else like that. So make sure if you're doing that challenge, you're doing it with perfect form.
Yeah. If you're feeling this movement in your back, you're doing it wrong. You should feel no pain in your back whatsoever when you're doing a kettlebell swing. So remember that as well. If you're picking up a kettlebell, you're trying to do it for the very, very first time, maybe you're 10 to 20 reps in and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, my back is really hurting. Stop what you're doing, throw the kettlebell down, and do not pick it up again until you've mastered the hip hinge, because you're using your back from this position to raise you up. You're not popping with your hips. It's a huge, huge problem that a lot of people have right there is they want to use their back. Your lower back should not be your main source of this movement. It should be your hips and your hamstrings.
Awesome, Chris.
Right on.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
You got it.